Hey guys, this is Shreyas and welcome back to another video. So this is gonna be a bit technical and will have a bunch of numbers across your screens from time to time. Mostly it's gonna be a talking head video, so feel free to go into picture-in-picture mode or just run it in the background for listening, but there will be a few visual representations like graphs, so keep that in mind. So today we are gonna compare the two thin and light offerings from AMD and Intel. Over here on the Intel, I have the Lenovo 7i running with the 11th gen i7 1165G7, and the HP has the Ryzen 5 4500U, which is technically a generation behind, but in terms of performance from its later offering 5500U is exactly the same because it's still based on the Zen 2 architecture with everything else same on the spec sheet. Now before moving on, why don't you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, because I'll keep making such technical and in-depth reviews about such comparisons so that it helps in your consumer choices and needs. So I'm gonna make a slight thin and light buying guide for CPU choices, especially in this video also, so stick around for that. I will try to mention it as soon as possible. Now with that said, this is Shreyas and let's check that out. Post budget, usually when you're choosing a laptop, the CPU is the major concern because that decides the majority of your performance, and that's why I'm doing this comparison for you to understand which possible CPUs to go for, and this is limited to thin and lights because of the CPU SKUs I have over here. There is a bit of a nomenclature I would like to share. If you're looking for 11th gen Intel processors, if you see a G7 moniker at the end of it, it is usually a low power CPU, which would be great for your thin and light, giving you decent performance and a lot of battery efficiency. On the AMD side of things, you will look for a suffix U. For example, over here it is the 4500U, which are the lower power processors going into their thin and lights. Now another thing I would like to suggest for people buying as a thumb rule is that avoid going for 10th gen Intel because they were based on the 14 nanometer process. Basically they were not as power efficient or could sustain good loads because of their thermals, whereas the 11th gen processor is a good spec bump up compared to the equal counterparts of their 10th gen. So I would definitely recommend going for the 11th gen. On the AMD side of things, this is the 4500U, which is technically a generation behind in terms of numbering, but keep in mind that the 4500U is exactly the same as the 5500U because both are based on the Zen 2 architecture. This also goes for the 4700U and the 5700U, which are also both based on the Zen 2 architecture, so they're technically a rebranded CPU for the later generations and newer releases. Whereas if you're going for the Zen 3 architecture, those are the 5600U and the 5800U only. AMD has confused us a bit. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but that's something you should keep in mind. Please do not get confused. If you're getting a good enough laptop, you're targeting for a 5500U and you get a cheaper laptop of the same laptop manufacturer with other same specs with the 4500U, go for it, do not hesitate. Same goes for the 5700U and the 4700U. Now with that said, let's get on to the performance of the two machines I have tried here. The Lenovo Yoga 7i, which has the 11th gen Intel i7 1165G7 processor. I will refer to it as the i7 throughout the video, so do not get confused. Over here I have the HP Envy X360 with the Ryzen 5 4500U. So I will probably say it the Ryzen 5 throughout the video. Don't get confused, please. Now before we go on to the performance and the charts, I would like to say the conditions of testing. Now I have tested this in an AC room with the temperature of the AC at 18 degrees Celsius. Now this is typically an office environment, I would think, and for cities that are running hot, you have ACs going on already. I have run these benchmarks only while these two laptops were plugged in. I have only changed the power profiles and kept the Windows power profile at higher performance, but only changed the individual laptop software power profiles, which are the Lenovo Vantage and the HP Command Center respectively. Another part is that I have used the included charging brick so that there is no discrepancy in performance if I used a PD charger instead. Now with that said, let's get on to the power profiles of these individual laptops. Now let's go on with the Intel high performance mode on the Lenovo Yoga 7i. Over here the i7 is actually drawing too much power in the beginning, as you can see over here for the chart. If you see the temperatures and the clock speeds, they kind of dip down at the same time with the power as well, which is understandable. Remember that max TGP for Intel is recommended at 28 watts, whereas in the beginning this is drawing up to 45 watts, which is not acceptable, and hence I think it decides and comes down to the part and sustains a good enough temperature around 75 to 77 degrees, which is a good temperature, but I completely think it is thermal throttling because look at the core clock speed. It is going down below 3 GHz. It is mostly being around 3 GHz or below 3 GHz. Intel and Lenovo both advertise 4.7 GHz on this particular CPU. Mind you, what this signifies is the max performance of a single best performing core of the whole 4 cores that this CPU has. That's how it is judged. The reality of the multi-core average is very different. You can see that it settles below or near 3 GHz. Now on the other hand, the AMD has a maximum allowable temperature of operation at 105 degrees Celsius, which is pretty high if you ask me, and especially in a thin and light enclosure. But over here you can see the performance, if I have to sum it up, is sustained. The core clocks settle at around 3 MHz, 3.2 MHz, 3.3 MHz mostly, all core performance, and these are 6 cores mind you, because this is a 6 core 6 thread processor. You see the temperatures is again sustained. It is closer to the thermal limit because it is above 90 degrees, 90 to 92 degrees, which is not that comforting, but trust me, the laptop was not heating up on the surfaces, so the thermal solution has been very well implemented in this. Apart from that, if you see the power consumption, that has been very level as well. Yeah, the highest allowable TGP is around 25 watts, and this is drawing exactly that much amount of power, which is a really good sign to see. And no throttling is also seen. You see a couple of dips, but very minor compared to the Intel counterpart over here. This is something impressive to me. So you can see the Cinnamon scores after the stress test as well, is that the multi-core performance, the AMD has a good lead, probably given that additional better sustained performance with a higher clock speed and the higher number of cores it has in its processor, where the Intel lags behind by a bit. On the other hand, the single core performance is better, and this is why exactly people prefer Intel for gaming. Now most games use single core performance rather than multi-core performance, although that is changing lately. Moving on to the second power profile, which is the intelligent cooling and the comfort mode on the AMD. Now the intelligent cooling is what I would suggest for regular usage, even if you are stressing your laptop with multiple Chrome tabs and Excel sheets, etc., heavy Excel sheets. I would suggest this particular power profile because over here the power is sustained very well. Now the Intel starts really strong over here, running at around 4 GHz, but again drops down to close to 3 GHz. But the sustained performance over here relatively to its higher performance mode is better. So it's very weird, but yeah, that's what thermal throttling does, and that's what you should keep in mind. So intelligent cooling is something I would open-heartedly suggest if you are getting similar Intel laptops. Also, the power draw over here is something I like, although it again started at 45 watts for some reason. It came down and ultimately settled around 20 watts, which is a good power consumption given how power hungry this CPU can tend to be. Alright, now coming to the battery saver mode for both these laptops, it has battery saver on Intel and it's called quiet mode on the AMD. Performance is something that I would really prefer for Ultrabooks. Let's come to the Intel first. Now the Intel starts off and sustains its performance around 2 GHz all core, which is pretty decent given the amount of power it is drawing. Again, there is a power spike in the beginning, but it again settles down at around 12 watts. The temperatures maintained is also very commendable because it is 60 degrees only, and the power drawn to performance ratio is again decent, not the best. The intelligent cooling is again the way to go if you want the most optimal performance to thermal ratio. Coming to the Ryzen 5, it sips only around 12 watts. There it starts very low at around 5 watts, goes up a bit and again settles down at around 10 watts, which is pretty commendable. That's why you typically get better battery life even with smaller size batteries. The all-core performance is also reasonable, which is 2.2 GHz over here. The CPU temperature over here settled around 62 to 65 degrees. Alright, so this was strictly CPU performance. Now what about the integrated GPU performance? Although I will not recommend thin and lights for gaming ever. never buy thin and lights for gaming. That's my suggestions. Now it's up to you. There are integrated graphics, and for some use cases it could be handy, and if you really want to occasionally game probably at 720p or 1080p with very low settings, could be possible on esports title. Now here the tables completely turn. The integrated graphics, the AMD comes with its Vega 6 architecture and Vega 6 graphics, which is just not that great. Not that it is bad, but this was the standard a couple of years ago, but Intel has disrupted this integrated GPU market with its Xe graphics, and it's really amazing. I was mind blown to see what it could provide, given that I was also used to Vega level or older Intel integrated graphics level. Xe is really a step up. Now over here, let me just put it plain simple. If you require GPU performance for gaming or any other task relatively in a thin and light form factor, if you do not consider battery life to be your top priority in that case, do go with the Intel 11 Gen hands down, because the Xe graphics is just excellent and just whitewashes the Vega 6 architecture of AMD in my opinion. Now I ran the 3D Mark time spy test for this. You can see this if you really want to see how good or bad it is relatively in terms of percentage. You can just see the time spy scores over here. Yeah, that's a huge difference if you see in terms of percentage, and yes, it does convert into performance as well. I have tried gaming Valorant on both of these. The Intel was just an amazing experience, and even at high settings it was giving me around 100 to 90 FPS, which is insanely good. For a thin and light, I could have not imagined this was possible a couple of years back, to be very honest. But the AMD over here disappoints. Not that it is unusable or something, but again, if you put it next to the Intel, it's just something you will be disappointed with. Now I hope I explained you enough about the CPUs, the performance and how it behaves. This usually projects up to other Intel processors as well, because this is the top of the line Intel i7 you can find in a thin and light current generation, and probably the next generation as well, because they don't seem to go up to a 7nm process very soon. They will still stick to the 10nm process, so you'll see very minor improvements. I told you about the difference in the SKUs of the 4500U and the 5500U essentially are the same with the 4700U and the 5500U. If you want more battery life for the same capacity of battery, go with the AMD, or you can afford a smaller size battery. Like in this case, the HP Envy has a 51 watt-hour battery but gives almost similar battery life compared to the Lenovo Yoga 7i, which has a 71 watt-hour battery. What this will do is make your laptop smaller, shrink it in size, make it lighter as well, because battery is a very heavy component if you consider all the laptop components in a thin and light. So I hope this helps you decide with the CPU of your upcoming thin and light or ultrabook purchase. So if it ultimately helps you with this particular purchase, definitely hit a like, subscribe to the channel, because I'll try to make such videos all this time. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.